What's up, everybody? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
Any music news on your end that you want to talk about before we start this week's show?
Music news on my end. No, nothing of importance.
Yeah, I don't have anything marked down this week, so maybe something throughout the show will spark my memory.
It's possible.
All right, let's dive in then. We got a lot to talk about this week, some of which I'm very excited about. Starting with this new one from the Chemical Brothers and Beck called Skipping Like a Stone. How you feeling about it?
This is my song of the week, John. Starting it off strong.
Yes.
This is an
Big
absolutely
surprise,
beautiful
by the
track.
way.
I knew you knew that. Look, man, this hits just as hard, if not a little harder, than Wide Open did on its first listen. Wide Open is the final track on their album Born in the Echoes.
Mm-hmm.
Just if they tour and anybody catches me in this crowd, just look for the guy that's sobbing during this song. That's how you'll that's how you'll recognize me, man. What would do you number one? What'd you think about it? But number two, do you think that this is going to be their album closer?
Oh, that's a great question. I can definitely hear it being like the climax to the newest album, or maybe the song right before, like an instrumental climax, but I think
Right.
you're right in thinking it'll be back half of the album. In terms of how I felt about it, I thought it was good. Initially, I didn't love that Beck was the vocalist, but literally, like, you can't tell that it's Beck necessarily. Like, the vocals are fine, but they could be anybody. So, him being the vocalist does not bug me very much.
What do you got against Beck, bro? Why you hate it? Why
I've
you
just
hate on
never
Beck?
really enjoyed his stuff. Oh, it's nothing. I'm not, it has nothing even to do with like Scientology or any of that shit. I don't care. I don't know. I thought like Colors had some okay tracks, and I like what's the two turntables and a microphone. I think that's
Yep.
Odelay from like 96.
Yep.
I've just sporadically liked a song of his maybe once a decade. So it's not that I dislike Beck. It's just that when his name is on something, I don't initially think I'm gonna like it.
That's fair. That's super fair. I think more of his music than you do.
Definitely. Wow is a jam. That song fucking
Yeah, that's a
rules.
good one too.
Very not Beckish, but I'm a huge fan of that one. Moving on, we got a new one from John Summit and MKLA, who I think is the vocalist on this song. It's called Fade Out. Look, man, I know he might be a little overrated, but the man can make some great music. This being a prime example. Thought the vocals were great on this one. Very Ellie Goulding-ish. I'm a fan of this one. What about you?
I liked the vocals, and I can't say I disliked the track, but there's just something that feels inauthentic about this dude's music. It's
I disagree.
it's just it's just some tech house that's like super trendy right now. That is,
Hmm.
I don't know. It feels trend chasey, especially with a lot of his older music not sounding like this. It just kind of feels like, well, this is where the crowds are going, so I'm gonna make it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
Is
I'm
it
just
trend chasey to try and sound like Cascade like 15 years after that was popular?
it's coming back in, man.
I get that it's coming back in, but he's like one of the names that's bringing it back in. I wouldn't say
That's
that's
fair.
trend chasing. I would just say it's not necessarily the most original approach to music.
That's
But
fair.
right away, I think when Where You Are dropped, like the similarities between that and the way Cascade would compose a similar song were there. So I think that people need to stop short of calling him the heir apparent to like the Dead Mouse Cascade throne. But I do think he's a talented dude. I'm a little bummed you aren't enjoying the tracks as much as me. I thought this was great.
He just did a B2B with Cascade at Hard Summer.
Yep, he did. He did.
I had a friend who went, and he said it was good. So he said he had a good time.
I heard some of the B2Bs at Hard Summer were a little weird. I can't remember if that was one of them, but I
I
don't
feel
know.
I
I,
feel
I
bad
hope
for
the
everybody going to the Skrillex Fortet B2B expecting it to be a Fred again Skrillex Fortet show, and it
Sure,
probably was
sure.
not that. So
I think the B2B era was fun. I think we need to go back to the solo artist performing era. Um All right, let's move on, man. We got a new one from Side Piece this week called West Side. Absolute banger. Little bit more Wet Republic than Hakkasan, but still mindless Vegas club music all the same. That said, a banger. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, man, I really liked this one. I was actually a big fan of this one, and it's funny that the both of these songs. So this one has more heart to it for me than the John Summit one does, and
Yeah,
they're basically the same genre.
you
Like
are
it's
so
basically the
wrong.
same song.
You are so wrong. They're not the same. One is like a trance tech house, one is like just straight party house. I love you sticking to this, man. I do not agree at all, though.
That's good. We need some disagreement. Let's
We
shake things
do.
up,
We
John.
do. We do. We got a new one from Skippo. It's called JNP. How you feeling about this one?
Uh, uh, I honestly, man, I was driving. I was zoned the fuck out one day, and this progression just hit me, dude. It actually came onto my radar because Ruben Karapetian, I think is how you
Hmm.
pronounce his name,
Yeah.
did a remix of this song, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this on?" And
Interesting.
the original track is far better in my opinion. This kind of bass that comes in about halfway through is just it just hit me.
Yeah, dude. It's still like minimalistic and proggy techno, but his approach to it is just really creative and even, dare I say, fun, which is not a word associated with techno very often.
Right.
It's kind of a fun techno track. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I really liked this one.
Got a new one from Tin Liquor called Star Chaser, and it sounds exactly how you would expect a song called Star Chaser by Tin Liquor to sound, which is to say excellent, as always, from them. You feeling the same way?
Yeah, classic Tin Liquor putting out a fucking banger.
Yep. I expected no less. All right, man. We missed this one last week. I have no fucking idea how. This is the Boys Noise rework of Venus by Bananarama. It is so fucking awesome. They should have used this instead of the Kate Bush song in Stranger Things. This specific remix. It is perfect. What did you think about it?
Oh my god, man! This rework is absolutely amazing. Good for Boys Noise. Can we talk about that for a second, man? He's worked with
Yes.
some pop stars like crazy. He's worked with Snoop Dogg. The dude is just, man. With now he's got Bananarama under his belt. Like this is I
Yep.
thought that was really fucking cool because he obviously had the stems for this. So he could fuck with it, and you've got to get rights and shit like that to release something like this. I don't know if he's gonna make as much money as he paid for the rights because this is a very famous song. But fuck yeah, man, good for him.
Yeah, I don't think he gives a single shit
No,
about that.
I
He
don't
can
think
play
so
this
either.
live, and that's all the motherfucker cares about. Because the second this came out, he dropped just a slideshow of him dropping this live at different festivals.
Amazing.
Yeah, dude. Still, hands down, my favorite live DJ ever that I have personally seen.
His technical
Um,
proficiency is out of this world.
guys, technical proficiency, song selection, even production design for like my specific taste. Every time I've seen him, it's been minimal but perfect, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on, we got a Jada G remix of a Major Lazer song. Leave it to Jada G to get me to actually enjoy a Major Lazer song. I guess we should just mark that as a win and keep going. How'd you feel about this one?
Exactly like that, man. This is infectious. It's catchy as hell. I really like this remix.
Also, not related to this track, but related to Jada. The longer I sit with her last album, the more I wish it sounded like this. Like, we
Right.
both thought it would have more of a piano house feel to it based on the pre-album rollout singles we heard that made us fans of hers to begin with. They sounded a lot like this, like Both of Us, songs like that. There's a little bit of that on the album, but not nearly enough of it. Like a whole album of this would have been an instant album of the year contender for me, you know?
Straight up. No, I totally agree, man. She's good at this. She's very good at this. And
Yes.
yeah, I mean, every time I see a single drop, I go yes. You know, like with
Yeah,
new Jada
same,
G.
same, same. And every time I just see anything of hers drop now, I say yes, but now I'm also like, which Jada is it gonna be?
Right.
I have a feeling her remixes are gonna be closer to that piano house style that we like so much.
Yep. Big fan of that.
Got an anima remix of Portugal the Man's Times of Fantasy. I wasn't expecting this one, but I guess it's been in their live set for a while. What are your thoughts on it?
Man, it's an interesting day. I
It
did not
is,
have this on
yes.
my bingo card. Yeah, the run that Anima is on right now, I honestly don't think it'll be forgotten. Um,
Probably producer of the year at this point.
it's crazy though. It's one of those things that got so popular so quickly due to like a couple of viral videos, and it is just, if you are in the EDM scene right now, you are aware of Afterlife. You're chasing that party, and you want to hear Consciousness get dropped when Anima plays it. Like it's a it's a run, man. This
I
is
think
one for the
you're
books.
you nailed it right there. It's a something that you're chasing. Like it's there's something aspirational about the show that they're putting on, specifically the ones in Tulum. It's very cool that they're touring this show, but when you see videos in the Tulum location, like it looks like a once in a lifetime type of experience, especially paired with the visuals and just
Yep.
I don't know, man. It's awesome because all of this music up until this year, nobody had heard these songs like the recorded versions of it. So most of his shows have been mostly stuff people don't know yet. And I think that that combined with the visuals, combined with the location, is what's making Afterlife what it is right now.
I agree. I think they did. I think they did marketing right, and we'd be fooling ourselves if marketing isn't a part of music, especially at the level of in the EDM genre. Like if
Hmm.
you aren't marketing yourself, you're just not booking shows. You're not getting the plays. You're not making the money. And I think
Yeah.
that it's not about the money for Afterlife. I mean that's very clear. Nobody knew who Tale of Us was 5 years ago. So it's one of those things.
And the team helps. Like, I think it'd be easier to be like Anima and Tale of Us, but dude, Cassian and Adriatic, like, that's a stacked fucking group of dudes putting on shows, not just the headliner.
Right. I never thought. Once I had heard Adriatic's album Nude, I think it was 2018, 2017, one of those.
Yeah,
Um, I fucking loved it, man. I was hooked immediately. Nobody knew who I was talking about.
I think that's a better album than the Tale of Us album from around that
I
time,
I
actually.
I tend to agree. I really like Nude, so
But to your point, yeah, nobody knew who we were talking about 6 years ago when we were talking about Tale of Us for the most part, except deep, deep EDM heads.
and now you mention Anima and around somebody who likes techno, and they go and they just roll their eyes because they've gotten so popular. It's ubiquitous now.
Yeah. R For instance, remixing a top 40 band like Portugal the Man.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of remixing top 40, we got an Alesso remix of Seven by Jungkook. You know I had to throw this one on. The original is one of my favorite pop songs to come out this year, and I thought this was a fun remix. What'd you think of it?
Oh yeah, he killed it on this remix. Good job, Alesso.
Of course he did. I'm hoping we get a Jungkook album or at least another single this year, hopefully, because after that J-Hope one, man, I'm willing to give more like I don't know if it's right to call it K-pop because it feels like this is them branching into American pop. It's not really K-pop
Right.
anymore, but I'm digging the product they're putting out right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Got the extended mix of Ray of Solar by Swedish Mafia. Did you enjoy this any more than the original mix?
Honestly, man, this is the power of an extended mix. I didn't. I don't think I really. I don't. I remember liking the original track, but this one
Hmm.
sent me every time those solo strings come in after the 4/4. It sounds like Swedish House Mafia to me now.
Yeah, it feels more like the live version of it that you would
Right.
hear. Gives it's more patient, gives it more time to build. You can actually get in the mood for it and kind of go through the whole ride versus the expedited version of it. I
Right.
enjoyed it, man. I thought it was good. I still don't know how much I'll be like revisiting it or remembering it months from now, but it is good and promising for where they're going.
Yep, I agree.
Got a new one from Easy Life called Ultimate Jutsu. I don't really like this track this much, but I'm a huge Easy Life fan, so I'm gonna pretend like I do. I don't know, man. I found some of like the lyrics, not the lyrics, the rhyme style a little grating on my first few listens, but the more I listen to it, the more I do dig it. What about you?
I really like this song.
Do you?
Yeah, man. We're
I
so
don't know.
opposites on Easy Life. That's okay. It's honestly, bro, what it is to me, it's so silly. It's carefree. It just like fits his vocal style. I can
Yes.
see where you're coming from with kind of like the rhymes
Yeah, it's a
being
little
a little
word
grating.
salady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's totally fair. But I actually really did enjoy this song.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of enjoying songs, we have arrived at my song of the week,
I
which is the new
fucking
one
knew it.
from Omar Apollo called Ice Slippin'. I don't care if it's derivative of Frank Ocean. I really do not, man. It's a great song. Frank ain't releasing anything. I am looking forward to Omar's new EP. I think that drops like early October. We'll definitely be checking it out. What did you think of the first track off of it?
Oh yeah, Omar sounds natural, really emotional on this one. His music just continues to grow and grow on me, man.
Getting better with every release.
Yep.
Got a new one from Burna Boy and Dave. What are your thoughts on this one? A little more dance hall vibe.
So I watched Burna Boy's Coachella stream from
Mm-hmm.
this last year, and dear God, did he bring it, man! Uh,
Put on a good
and
show.
and honestly, I obviously everybody knows a handful of Burna Boy songs, but man, this track is great. I love how easy this felt for both of them. It's not like an amazing song, but it did grab me and it helped me.
Yeah, he actually put out an album. I didn't realize. I think this is one of those cases where they dropped like the single the same day as the album, and I added the
Got it.
single, not really knowing. Maybe we'll check his album out on a slower week. But I dug this one too, man. Dave can almost do no wrong. We
That's
will circle
crazy.
back to Dave shortly, though.
Yeah, we will.
All right, we got a new one from Brett Fias and Coco Jones called "Moment of Your Life." This is actually one of the better songs Brent has released this decade, which is sad because he continues his bit of being the worst romantic possible partner possible in the lyrics, but the vocals on this one are undeniably great, right?
Music for fuckboys, man. What are we gonna do?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Brent's voice sounds great on this one. I'll agree. It's one of the better songs he's put out in the last decade. And those trade offs with Coco are done really well, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, agree. Speaking of great voices and great trade-offs, we got one from Charlotte Day Wilson, who I don't think we've really talked about on here before, and Snow Allegra called Forever. This is just two of the best down-tempo R&B artists in the game today, going back and forth on the same track. It's really good. What'd you think about it?
Dear God, those harmonies, John.
Yeah. It's
They
insane, right?
they really complement each other on this one.
Yeah, their vocal like tones match perfectly.
Yeah,
I almost didn't
I'll
know who
agree.
was who on the first listen.
Yeah, but you
uh,
figure it out.
Yeah, once Snow comes in, you're like, oh yeah, never mind, that's Snow. All right, man, you threw this next one on. It's by a group called Black Pumas, called More Than a Love Song. What did you think about this one?
Have you heard of Black Pumas?
I have not, but I did see they have an album coming out pretty soon.
They sure do. So I have heard of Black Pumas like once a month on the internet for I don't know a couple years now. Every once in a while, somebody will ask for recommendations, and this band will get thrown up. And I didn't listen to them until a close friend, shout out to Victoria, sent me it, and she was like, "Fucking listen to it." And so I did, and it major Krongbin vibes for me,
Yeah.
which made me immediately send her. You got to check out Krogbit because they're really good, man. I like this sound. It's soul. It's funk. It's a little bit of rock. It's got this
Yeah.
like edge to it that I think really works for them. And yeah, man, this was good. Did you like it?
I did. I think I originally had it sorted with rock, actually. I'm a big fan of the sound. It's got like a more modern Duran Jones and the Indicators vibe, or like
Yeah.
a little bit of Raphael Sadiq in there, maybe not quite as like doo-woppy. But yeah, man, I really dug this one. Did you want to check that new album out when it dropped?
I do indeed.
For sure. I will throw that on our release calendar if I did not already. All right, circling back to Dave, he dropped a new track called Meridian with Tia Colo. He actually dropped two tracks, I think, the same day. I did not realize he even dropped another one until today. And I think part of the reason I didn't realize that is because I didn't really care for this one that much. As I love Dave, I don't see myself coming back to this one too much. What about you?
You just said Dave can do no wrong.
I know. That's why I was like, we're gonna circle back to Dave.
Man, I didn't hate this one. It's not my favorite Dave track by any means, but I will say I don't think I've heard a lot of French rapping before, and I think that's pretty neat.
Is that what that is?
It is French. Yes, I looked it
Yeah,
up.
I could not tell. That's
It
awesome though.
almost sounded Portuguese for a second, and I was like, maybe it's Portuguese. I don't know. Somebody correct me.
Maybe the other track's better. I have not heard it.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, we got a new one from Audrey Nuna called Lock It. I really like this track, but I don't really love the pop lock and drop it interpolation. What about you?
All right, so the track is really fun. I think she kills it on this one. But I saw a thread on Reddit the other day of people complaining about this exact thing. It's been done 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's being done a lot on TikTok, and so it's being put to the forefront, I guess, of popular culture, where there's songs that interpolate other past hit songs in
Yeah.
their own way. To me, that's not new. It's been happening for like a long time. I mean,
Yep.
you've got rappers using Eminem bars on raps made
I
20
think
years later. You know, like
yeah.
I think this is done well for what it is. I was never a big fan of Pop Lock and Drop It, and I'm not a big fan of that piece of this song, but Aubrey's part she fucking killed.
As always, yes,
Right.
she's fucking awesome. I love her vocals on this one, and the beat's really good. Like I said, it's only the interpolation I don't get. And I think like you're saying, it's just hitting a saturation point with it to where when anybody does any interpolation, rather than it being fun or nostalgic, you're just like, oh God, this again.
Right.
I think most people would probably associate big interpolation with like the J. Cole Paula Abdul one that was on the radio for years, even to this
Right.
day. Like that was like one of the first moments I remember a major pop song doing it. And now it feels so commonplace to do this or to just use an old song, put new vocals on it, like the Rita Ora Fatboy Slim Praise You thing
Yep.
that's been going on, all that type of shit. I think somebody redid Blue Dappa D with like different like lyrics and shit. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
they
with you,
did.
man. I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, moving on. We got a new one from the Killers called Your Side of Town. This is kind of a weird single, man. Why does it sound like Daft Punk and Julian Casablancas? I don't know why, but it sounds like an inferior version of that, I should say. I don't know if I love this sound for them. The auto tune just is not working for me. What about you?
What are the Killers doing, John?
They're trying to get out of Vegas. They're
My
selling
God,
out.
they're doing that, or I don't know, dude. I actually have a theory. I think it's
Yeah.
they put out their last album. I even forget the fucking name of it right now because it was so plain. And I actually remember liking it when we reviewed it, but going back to it, it's pretty plain. But
Hmm.
I think it's just a huge correction. I don't think it did well, and I think they're trying to get back into the popular lexicon, I guess, you know? And I think that they have a lot of trouble picking a lane, and I think that that's very apparent with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it, man. I don't know what they were really thinking of with this one. I think it's the start of another new album. I think they just need to slow down a little bit, man. Maybe write and record songs like this, but write and record a whole bunch of songs and then after a few months decide if this is one of the best ones that you want to release.
Right.
Not be like, this is a different direction, let's put it out. But honestly, at the point in their career they're at, why the fuck not?
I guess.
All right, we got a new one from Free Throw called Spacer's Choice. You threw this one on. I thought it was really good. Pretty straightforward pop punk, but I really like the vocal melodies and songwriting on it. Were you a fan?
Oh yeah. Free Throw has announced a new album out in October. Their
Oh,
album from
sick.
2021 was real good, and I really like this single. I don't think we covered it in 2021. I don't think
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think we. I don't think I knew of them. I think I found this band last year and was like, let's take a look at it. And I remember really liking their last couple albums. So yeah, this one should be good, man. I really liked this song.
Yeah, I dug this one as well. I am looking forward to that. Got a new one from LS Dunes called Old Wounds. This is their longest song to date. Is it their best?
No,
Yeah, I agree. It's a little bit softer than I was hoping for and a little bit less progressive, but the stuff I enjoy about all the rest of their music is present on this track in some form. What were your thoughts on it overall?
This is a good song. It is also my least favorite of theirs. It's not bad by any means because, like I just said, it is good. It's super emotional. Anthony's performance is, as is tradition, fantastic. It's just not why I listen to this style of music. But I am interested to see, have they announced a new album?
No, I have a feeling that these last two tracks, Benadryl subreddit and this one, are gonna just be like a single one and two. But I'm
For
not
sure.
sure, man. Could be. They're technically a new band, so I could see them having like a lot of inspiration and a lot of material to work with starting off. I wouldn't be opposed to another new album, but I don't think they need to follow up so soon.
No, I don't think so either. And I think it's interesting. You say that with the creativity aspect of having a bunch of like band members of other bands form a super group, if you will, or a new band and having all that creativity. What they really have is a ton of riffs and drum fills and vocal inflections that were never used because the other band members of their other bands didn't like them or it didn't
Hmm.
fit, or they even probably have like full fucking songs that didn't quite fit on whatever album they were about to
Yeah.
drop. And I mean, you've got members of, I think it's Thursday, Coheed, and Seosin, and well, Anthony
Yep.
Green, who's been in 1,000 bands. So I mean, I can only imagine some of the unreleased stuff that Anthony Green has written down that he never got to.
Oh, 100%, dude. Getting 4 to 5 guys to agree on anything is nearly impossible. So, starting a new band with a bunch of career musicians after like 15, 20 years in bands, I'm sure it's like more of a professional environment to create things in than anything. It's not like fighting so hard for your ideas just because they're yours. I'm sure everybody's fighting hard for the best ideas to make the music as good as it could be, you know?
Right. Yeah. I really like that aspect of this band because that's one of the things I thought about when we reviewed their album was, man, they've got to have so much stuff in their head that like
Yeah.
never got out on to a recording that like has got to be great, just didn't fit, you know?
Also, being in a band that never had Anthony Green as your vocalist and then getting Anthony Green as your vocalist has to change everything as a musician, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. Well, hey, man, can you do this? Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Okay.
can you do this in my sleep? Are we done yet? You know?
He is one of the goats for a reason.
Yeah, dude has a range. I'll tell you that.
Moving on, we got a new one from Spirit Box called Jaded. I'm always up and down on their music, but this one kind of slaps. What do you think about it?
I actually really like this one. You know me though. I do prefer more screamy, but screamy
Yeah,
singing is done really well on this one. I think.
I agree. Got a new one from War Crab called Orbital Graveyard. What a title for a song. What a song in general, man. It's a lot of fun. What did you think about this one?
Man, I love the bass work on this track, dude.
Yep.
I mean, oh my god, man, just it's heavy as hell. They have an album coming out on Transcending Obscurity Records here pretty soon. I don't know if we should cover it or not, but I've been following Transcending Obscurity for a little bit more than 6 months or something right now, and they've put out some interesting music. I saw this and from a band called War Crab and a
Yep.
song called Orbital Graveyard, and I just couldn't not add it to the playlist.
You're not gonna get Randy Jackson's autograph on a samurai sword, you know?
Exactly.
Um, yeah, dude, incredible band name. If we don't check out that album when it drops, I'm sure it will be in your playlist to check out eventually.
Oh, for sure.
Capping off the singles in the best way possible, a new one from Carnifex and Tom Barber called Beth's Forgotten Children. Good fucking God. This one is a ripper start to finish. The fact that I've seen this band live in a church before is still one of my favorite things ever. They fucking rule. Love Carnifex. Very much looking forward to their new album. I know you are as well, but what did
Oh
you think
yeah.
of this song?
Oh, this song fucking rips. I want to focus less on the song though, and more so on the run that Tom Barber has been on recently. Vocalist for Chelsea Grin, just
Oh God, yeah.
features on everything. My man is just killing the game right now. And after just having gone to a deathcore concert, and seeing arguably some of the best vocalists in deathcore, and I can only imagine what Tom Barber sounds like live. It's pretty cool to hear him and the vocalist for Carnifex kind of trade
Yeah.
off here, and I just thought that was super fucking cool.
It was fucking rad. Yeah, we said we didn't have any music news. You saw fucking Dying Fetus and Acacia Strain this week. And I believe you said it was the heaviest show that you've ever been to, specifically Acacia Strain set.
Correction. I did. I saw the Acacia Strain open up for Suicide Silence and Lamb of
Suicide
God.
Silence. That's it.
Dying Fetus is going to be in November, but that'll be the heaviest show I've ever been to. But the Acacia Strain, dear God, man, they've been on my playlist obviously for fucking years, and I've never had a chance to see them. I've seen Suicide Silence a number of times. Lamb of God I've seen before, but I was very excited to finally see the Acacia Strain, and dear God, they brought it. I sent you one of the videos I took. I tried not to take a lot of videos, but I did take one of some crowd surfing, and
Yeah.
man, the pit was crazy. It was a really neat show, man, and he's got to be one of the best frontmen in the business right now. He's
Sounded great in that video.
bro has some energy, and he is not afraid to expel that into the crowd. So
Speaking of energy, you said it was an all energy set. They didn't do any of the new Doom stuff from that
no
second
Doom
album they
stuff.
dropped.
It's hard because when you only have number one, when you're not a headliner, number two, when you're not playing
Yeah.
before any Doom bands, and
Hmm.
number three, when the one song you really should be playing to please the crowd that's a fan of your Doom stuff is 17 minutes long.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to play it. I wasn't expecting it. I was
So
hoping for it, but no Bog Walker this time.
so you're saying good enough to see a headline show of for the hopes of that they'll play something from that.
Yeah, I think they just toured, or at the very least, did a handful of shows with some Doom artists. I forget which
Oh,
one. It might
okay.
have been
That
Paul
would have made more
Bearer
sense. Yeah.
or something like that. And I'm pretty sure they have played some Doomy stuff live, but when the occasion calls for it, and they have a giant catalog of get the fuck up, kick somebody in the face. So, you know,
Yeah. You said they opened with Flourishing?
they did.
Fuck yeah.
It
Fuck
was
yeah.
it was a show, man. I'll tell you that.
I know if I wrote Flourishing, I would open with it every single time.
It's just here's some energy.
Yep, nonstop.
Hope
That's
you
why
can
it was my
deal.
standout for that for both of those albums. All right, let's move on to the EPs. We got two this week. We got Zay Francis, his Def Jam debut. It's the second entry in his Rhythm and Backwoods EP catalog. It doesn't have a lot of cohesion to it or well thought out sequencing. It's kind of more of a collection of songs than anything, but there's glimpses of what he's capable of as an artist throughout this project. I really enjoyed it. I thought Give It Up was easily my favorite track of the bunch. How'd you feel about this project?
I agree with literally everything you said. I was really impressed with this. Like you said, there's not a lot
Yeah,
of
good voice.
like thematic cohesion, but the production on this one is it's really great, man. We
The
have
theme is rhythm and backwoods.
honestly that's that's a great fucking theme, bro. Like
I wish that's what R&B stood for.
imagine. No, man, I think Give It Up's also the best song on this EP. It's a really good one. I actually
Yeah.
came back to it a number of times. I really like this one.
Hell yeah, dude. Glad you enjoyed this one. I feel like him and Armani White are going to be kind of like two artists we're going to be covering for the next few years, and we're going to see them blow up substantially.
Yeah, that is very possible. I didn't know that this was his Def Jam debut. Good for him.
Yeah, it's a much smaller one than the Armani White one. I think that Billie Eilish song has become a pretty giant hit for him. I don't know if there's a giant hit on this album, but for the R&B heads like myself, this is feeding us. We are very happy.
And there are plenty of R&B heads out there.
There are dozens of us, dozens. All right, talk to me about this Aramo EP. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce the name of it. It's the new EP from Aramo.
So this is I don't even think you should pronounce it. It's released on a record label, Subsequence. So it's sub catalog number is I think what
Yes.
the EP is, which I like that. Look, man, if you're a fan of techno, you're a fan of this. I think it's dude has like 10 monthly listeners or something
Yeah,
like
what the
that.
fuck is up with
But
that, dude?
dear God, moving on should be played in everyone's set list this summer. I just love the way the bass is done on this entire EP. I love the arrangement. I love the fucking EP cover art. I love pretty much everything about this release, and it dropped into my radar. And I think it's Tony ITA is who I follow, and he does the remix on this track. How many monthly listeners? Oh, he's up to 14 monthly
I
listeners.
was gonna
Sorry.
say we're at least two of them.
Yeah, we are at the very least two of them. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. This one hits hard. It's somewhere between industrial and hypnotic techno, and call me, color me excited when something like that happens.
Yeah, dude, this guy is way too good to only have 10, 14 monthly listeners, whatever the fuck it is. I hope more people find this EP. It is really good techno.
Yep, I super agree.
Yeah, love you throwing this one on. All right, you ready to move about onto the albums?
Yeah, we've got a couple of them.
We do. Starting off with Victoria Monet's new album, Jaguar 2. Um, I'll just go first because I was wrong about this one. Other than Smoke, I was pretty cold on the singles going back. But what I didn't like about most of the singles is what I ended up really liking about most of the album, and that is like the dance hall and the reggaeton influence throughout it. It's one of the things that makes it different from so many other R&B albums that we've reviewed recently. Doesn't change her sound as much as it gives her some variety to play with. Party Girls is probably the best example of that. I was a little bit worried going into this one that Smoke would be the only track I'd really end up loving, but now it's kind of hard for me to find a track that I don't enjoy on here. All Right has an almost Tinashe like tempo to it, and I think she does a great job in that zone. Cadillac uses those horn sections and the wind instruments to create an instrumental outro that's just easy to get lost in. It's breezy, it's soulful, really like the vibe of that song. And the back of the album is nearly as perfect as the front half, in my opinion. We got On My Mama, which has just grown on me a ton. And we even get an Earth, Wind, and Fire feature before this fucking one wraps up. I don't know if going into this one with the expectation that I wouldn't love it as much as I did, or as much as I loved other R&B albums this year, made it easier for it to win me over or not. But I'm glad it did because I'm a huge fan of it now. I'm gonna give it an 8. My standout is Smoke, obviously, but I'm the One and All Right are pretty high up there for me too. What did you end up thinking about this one? Yay or nay?
So it's really bold of Victoria Monet to start an album with a Lucky Day feature on a weed track, but
Yep.
it works so well. To quote that song, you've got that earth, wind, and fire. A great line.
Do you think she got the feature after the line?
I don't know, but
I
I
wonder.
really want to know.
I hope so. That'd be so baller.
So she gives off on this entire album this I don't give a fuck attitude. It shines through in her songs so well here. Coming in at just over 35 minutes makes this like a really digestible listen with quite a few different styles. But one thing shines a lot, man, her voice. We've
Yeah.
got a lot of dub. We've got some dance hall, like on Party Girls. We even got some soul and like you said, a legitimate Earth, Wind, and Fire feature on Hollywood. It's all
Mhm.
R&B though, man. I love a lot of the lyrical content, even though I don't think she's been to Hollywood in a long time. If she's like glamorizing it like that, I actually really enjoyed this one, dude. There's lots of R&B has really been clicking with me. Maybe you've converted me to a full-on R&B head, but this one, this one really did it for me. I'm gonna give it a 7. My standout is Cadillac.
Yeah, Cadillac is just a fucking phenomenal track. You said bold. I think that really captures the spirit of this album, man. I believe she starts a song by saying she could be riding horseback towards you, slow motion on a beach, titties bouncing and everything,
Yep,
which,
she sure
yes,
does.
very bold, very bold.
Even
I'm
most
I'm
of
glad this one delivered, man.
even most of On My Mama is just this I am way too good for you, catch up sort of
Yup.
vibe. And like honestly, fuck yeah, good for you.
She put out a music video for that one recently, and it has had R&B Twitter like going crazy, man. People are really, really digging this one, and I'm glad.
It's a
I'm
good
glad.
one.
I think it deserves the flowers.
What was your score?
I give it an 8.
There you go. Yep.
What did you end up giving it?
7.
7. Fair. I think it might grow on you though.
It's possible.
All right, man. We got a new one from The Word Alive called Hard Reset. I have some thoughts on this album, but I'm very curious in hearing yours first.
All right, man. Well, we can do that. I've never been a big Word Alive fan for whatever reason. They've always been like a little bit too poppy for me. This feeling has always been with me with on bands like this. There's just too much pop in my metal. I think if like maybe the clean vocals were a bit grittier, it wouldn't rub me so wrongly. It just feels too overproduced when the clean vocals come in. I don't know, maybe the clean vocals take away some
Interesting.
of the passion from it for me. I don't know if that makes any sense. It might
Makes
not.
perfect sense. Yeah.
It may not be for me, but I wanted to be objective here. And I can absolutely see how this band is as popular as they are. If it is your thing, they do a really good job of blending pop and metalcore. The vocalist is good. The band obviously knows what they're doing, and their drummer is tight as hell. They've even got some killer riffs, like on that repeating riff in Strange Love and Static Rain. But the
Yep.
one thing that gets me not liking this album is even on these tracks that have some killer riffs that they could have like given time to breathe, they end up just doing the same thing over and over again, man. Is verse with a rumbling bass line, snare hit to a pitch change while the guitar comes in, bridge, chorus, then a riff, little breakdown, sprinkle some crack on them, let's get out of here. It's routine and it's garden variety metalcore to me. Again, I see how people could like it, and I don't hate it by any means, but this style of metalcore is lost on me, and it has been since its inception. Since like the late 2000s, early 2010s, there's been a lot less core in my metal, and it feels like the core has been replaced with pop, and that is super okay if you're into this kind of thing like Bad Omens or later Escape the Fate stuff. It's just not for me, man.
Both of whom are featured on this album.
I'm aware.
Um, what
I,
did you end up giving it?
I'm gonna give it somewhere between a 4 and a 5 for me. Again, I didn't hate it. It's just not for me. And while some of it's good, the majority of it is lost on me. My standout is War With You, featuring From First to Last. Leave it to a post-hardcore band to make the metalcore band
Yep.
sound heavier.
Yep.
What
Funny how that
what were,
works out.
what were your thoughts?
I agree with you, man. I really wanted to like this one, but it fell flat for me, which sucks because I can tell that they put a lot of hard work into this. I became a fan of theirs a little over 10 years ago when they dropped their debut. I have not kept up with them very much since. I can still hear some of the things that originally made me a fan of theirs throughout this album, but it's just not hitting like it used to for me. They've always had a kind of out of the box approach to metalcore, at least at the time that they came into the scene. Songs like 2012 and The Hounds of Anubis, I think, are really good examples of that. But they've had that out of the box approach for so long that the rest of the genre has caught up in terms of creativity, which ironically puts them in a box again. It's not quite formulaic, but it's predictable. And if you've heard them before, you know exactly what's coming. They're still capable of creating a great moment or track. They do it a few times on this album. The music on the intro track, I think, is a great example, and the album closer featuring Matt Good of From First to Last were both in my rotation heavy all week. But every time I tried to revisit this album as a whole, it just kind of wore on me. I hope it does well for them, but much like you, it's just not for me. I'm giving it a 5. And of course, my standout is War With You. Are you fucking kidding me?
It's it's the best song.
That song rules, dude. I made the mistake of clicking that song first just because I was like, is this From First to Last or is it just Matt? And I was like, oh shit, that song fucking was great. So I got really excited to listen to the album. And when I ran it front to back, it just wasn't hitting for me.
Yeah, it's funny. The word alive, and it might have been like them, and I forget the other band, but they kind of created this. All right, let's kind of carve out like a little poppy corner of metalcore, and it really was groundbreaking at the time.
Yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon has since come and done a lot of stuff like that. Bad Omens is like huge in the scene right now. In my opinion, though, this style of metalcore is polluting the good stuff, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. We got people talking more about
Maybe.
Currents and I Prevail than we do about Unearth. When Unearth is, in my opinion, on the metalcore front, top of their fucking game right now, and it's just interesting to see how popular music changes. Whether or not you agree that metalcore is quote unquote metal, it is it is the most popular of the heavy genres right now. I mean, The Word Alive has something like 2
Yeah.
million monthly listeners. That's a huge number for a heavier band like this, because they do get heavy
Hmm.
in some parts.
Yeah.
Like that's a big number to me.
The
And
artists that we review are sorted by follower count, so they are the second most popular release this week.
right. So it's really cool that they're bringing more people into the genre, but I just feel a lot of Papa Roach coming from them. So
Hey,
it's gonna be a no from me, dog.
what has PR ever done to you?
They've given me some
They're
scars.
platinum selling artists from Sacramento, and you will respect them because they made
I don't
getting away with murder, sir.
look, man. I'm sorry to scar you here, but I
You tear my heart open. I leave my
oh man. No, but I do feel like there's a formula, and while like what you said, it's not necessarily formulaic. You know what to expect, which means that there is a pattern at the very least. And to me, I think that while they execute it well, it's just not for me.
Yeah, I think we can both agree and leave it there for now.
Let's do it.
Moving on, we got a new one from Kill the Noise. Finally, Hollow World is in our fucking lives. I really like this album, man, but I'm a little torn on it. Mostly because my preference in dance music has changed so much over the years. I just don't listen to a lot of dubstep anymore, but that's not all this album has to offer, thankfully. There's still some of that, plenty of it, actually. But he was able to dial in and give us what I think are some of his best tracks to date that touch on a variety of different subgenres, obvious standouts being Mirage with Feed Me, Drive with Joywave. It's the rare album where I look forward to the more melodic moments on it than the heavier ones. But outside of the tracks I just mentioned, Circles was heavy in my rotation this week. I really loved the glitchy 8-bit vibe he brought on that one. And I thought he wrapped the album up on a really good note with Give Out featuring Helene. It's a solid album. I'm feeling like a 6.5, maybe a 7 on it. And my standout is Mirage. How are you feeling about this one? Am I underrating it?
No, I just have to say for anybody listening, John and I don't talk about the music at all. It is a no. We cannot talk about it during the week, and our reviews are basically identical. The opening sequence with Hollow World and Ultraviolent is a hell of a way to start an album.
Yep.
We were anticipating this one pretty highly, and I gotta say, I don't listen to a whole lot of dubstep anymore, besides like the Feed Me that I listen to.
Yep.
But Feed Me does a lot more than just dubstep, so there's that. It actually kind of took me a little bit to get used to it, but once I did get used to the dubbiness of it, I immediately was transported back to 2012 when dubstep was king. Everybody was headbanging to Excision, and Kill the Noise and Feed Me were collaborating on tracks that I still do come back to quite a bit. There's not, in my opinion, like a whole lot more to say about this album other than I do really, really like it. And even though I've grown out of listening to it on a daily basis, because I used to listen to like a lot of dubstep, I enjoyed this
Yep.
for what it is. It's fun. It's a fun record with great collabs, and it's very much Kill the Noise. I'm going to give it somewhere between a 6 and a 7. My standout, though, is different than yours. My standout is Ultraviolent.
You're right. Nearly identical. Also, fucking shocked your standout is not the track with Feed Me on it. Shows
I
how unbiased you are.
Honestly, man, I love Feed Me. I recently did the whole Stats FM request your extended streaming history from Spotify download and uploaded it through their stats thing. And turns out I am a giant fan of Feed Me. and,
Near the
and
top in the world, yes.
yeah, one of those. And yeah, man, I really did like Ultraviolent a little bit more, and maybe it's because it's got like heavy vocals, and it's just a hell of a way to start an album. But Give Out's really good. I agree with you that Circles, it has that kind of like, it has that kind of what eight bitty sound to it, which is
Yep.
really cool. I actually Mirage is great, obviously, but I wanted a little bit more Feed Me in that one, maybe. I really
Same.
liked it when it came out, but and then I love Joy Waves, and Drive was a good song. There's a lot of good songs on this record, but Ultraviolent, I just kept coming back to like whenever I needed to drive fast or something,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, your nose is bleeding. That's the dubstep.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got a new one from MXPX that you threw on here called Find a Way Home. Talk to me about this. Was not expecting it.
So, oh man, look, man, this album is a ton of fun. It's got this like underproduced charm while not compromising any tonal fidelity, which has to be like an
Well
art
put.
form in and of itself. MXPX has been doing their thing since the 90s, and they've been doing that thing well. Pop infused punk rock that hits the spot when you want that kind of music. It's fun, it's easy to digest, full of fun lyrics that can be funny, serious, and meaningful all at the same time. To quote the album, I like my numbers odd, my Venmo balance even, and my bad luck reversed. Same, bro. So much fun, so much replay value. This band's catalog grows as with another album, and I gotta say, it fits very well into their discography here. Somewhere between a 6 and a 7 for me. My standout is Mountains to Climb. I really liked this one. What did you think about it?
I like this one too, man. I really don't know what to say about it. It sounds like MXPX. If you like old school pop punk, you're definitely going to enjoy it. I wouldn't say I've ever been like a giant fan of theirs. I've seen them at Warped Tour a few times. They always put on a good show. Outside of Blink, I just don't listen to this style of punk very often, but maybe I should because I had a good time every time this came on. I also have it between a 6 and a 7. My standout is This Is What You Told Me. Really enjoyed that one.
Great song. It's funny, man. It punk is one of those genres where everybody has a different favorite band. I've never heard
Yep.
anybody tell me that their favorite band is MXPX. I have heard when people go to like punk rock festivals, they're like, like who should I see, or who was the best set, and MXPX gets mentioned in those threads. So
Sure. Yeah.
it's one of those where it's like without them, punk rock wouldn't be the same. So please keep releasing music.
Festival regulars for a reason.
Right.
All right, I am dying to hear your thoughts on this next one. It's Spanish Love Songs album, No Joy. I've been kind of torn on this one all week. Maybe you can clarify it for me. Hit me.
I have not been torn on this one, man. I've been
I know you
anticipating
haven't.
this album for a long time. I got really excited when we covered the lead single for this album. I think it was Haunted. So I went back and listened to their discography as one does.
As one does.
Brave Faces Everyone is a great album, and it even got me more excited for this next one coming up. What I love about this band is that the lyrical content seems like very straightforward and obvious at first, but when you go back and listen to it again, it's drenched in sarcasm, wit, wordplay, and dramatics, man. One thing, though, that has changed about this band's music from other albums of theirs is the synth stuff. It's far less prevalent in their previous work, but I think on this album, No Joy, it adds a layer to their sound. While it does create more of like a poppier aesthetic, it feels less quote unquote traditional emo. It comes off as sincere, and I think it adds to the dramaticism of the record for me. I don't skip any of these fucking songs on the multiple listens I gave it this week, and I anticipate listening to this one a lot. I'm gonna need some more time to digest everything fully, but for now, it's somewhere between an 8 and a 9 for me. You can throw a fucking dart at this album and pick a song for to be my standout, but Haunted, Cleanup Crew, or Rapture Chaser, which is one of my favorite deep cuts in like a long time.
Interesting.
are my favorites. What did you think about this one, man? You said you've been a little torn about it. What's tearing you up?
I don't want to talk about this one. I'm just joking. I'm joking. All right, dude. Like, look, man, I really wanted to enjoy it. You've been so enthusiastic about their singles. I've even had a few friends recommend them to me, which is pretty rare that I'm recommended anything. But after multiple listens, I've come to the conclusion that I don't like this very much. I like the album overall. I gave it a generally positive score, but in terms of like my personal taste, it's not for me, sadly, and I wish it was. They're good songwriters, but I'm not a huge fan of that overall sound. It's like I know why you're a fan of it. It's like a combination of Arcade Fire and The Killers with like a dash of Say Anything in there, which sounds super up your alley, but I don't know if it's up mine. It's not out of the realm of growing on me, but as of now, it's not among my favorite albums in the genre we've heard this year. I am going to give it a 6. I thought it was objectively good. Cleanup Crew is my standout. There was a few moments like with the grungier guitars on this album that I enjoyed, but sadly overall I did not enjoy it nearly as much as you did.
You need to go back and listen to Brave Faces, everyone, and then I'll shut up about this band.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
Will do. Will do.
Because
All right,
you actually have the opinion that a lot of other people have had about this album. I've heard a lot of
Really?
interesting takes about it. Yes, that it is different from their previous work, and their previous work is so much more. It's a little grungier. It's got a little bit more guitar to it, and the guitar is mixed a little bit more, a little bit less. Like this, so go back and listen to Brave Faces, everyone, and you. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Okay. Okay. I'll check that one out. Brave Faces, everyone. It looks like that one came out around 2020-ish.
Yep.
For sure. All right. I will throw that on my listen to next and get back to you on it. So 6 for now, pending. Uh, all right. Let's cap this week off with a new one from Really Rad Records. The album is called Nothing Moves Me. The band is Broken Record. Last year was a great year for rock music, one of the best in many years, but I have found more new bands in like the past 8 months that I've been able to find in like the past 8 years for some reason. And I feel like a lot of that has been due to Really Rad putting out so many fucking good albums this year. We've covered Swiss Army Wife, Dosser, Slipping, Yes, Yes, 1,000 Times Yes, Mauve, and now Broken Record. I'm probably missing some in there too.
Right.
All of those artists have just delivered great albums, and Broken Record just adds another fucking one to that list. It's a little more of a slow burn than some of the releases I just mentioned. They kind of remind me of that band Like Roses that we covered recently, and I'm a
Yep.
huge fan of Like Roses. It's music that you can feel, and not a lot of music actually makes me feel things. This definitely did. It's got great vocal delivery on top of great songwriting, on top of great music. Everything just clicks, man. There's friction in the themes, but not in the music. I love the mix on this album too. It's got that perfect amount of smokiness for their blend of like gazy emo. I'm a big fan. I'm giving this one a 7.5. It's hard to pick a standout between See It Through and Blueprinting. Both songs are incredible. Are we on the same page on this one? How are you feeling about it?
Of course we are. Look, man, when we found Really Rad Records, it's like we stumbled upon a massive treasure trove of unknown bangers. It's criminal that this band doesn't have more than 2,000 monthly listeners. Everyone that is listening to this, and if you haven't checked the playlist out, please go show Broken Record some love. This is if Silver Sun Pickups and Armor for Sleep got together and made a collab album.
Very Armor for Sleepy, yep.
Nothing Moves Me starts off this record with an intro that sets the stage for the band and the album. See It Through is one of the best emo songs I've heard this year, and I've heard a lot of good emo songs this year. Blueprinting rounds off like a fantastic 3-track run with this little bit of like shoegazy meets like shoegaze meets Jimmy World style track. Weightless has this breeze to it. It makes me feel like the band members have been playing music for like ever. You could have told me that the song Away Team was an Armor for Sleep demo, and I would have believed you.
High praise.
I listened to this album like 8 fucking times this week. I'm sure I'll be coming back to
Same.
it often, man. It's an 8 for me. It's a very clear, solid 8 for me. My standout is See It Through. I think it's a clear one for me. Again, it's a banger, man. This whole album is great. Thank you, Really Rad. Thank you, Broken Records. Dear God.
Yeah, this one fucking rocks. And oh, also before we wrap up our review, incredible album artwork on this one. I'm big
Yes.
fan of that. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing a lot more from this band in the future for sure.
How do you think
All
they made
right,
this album artwork? Do you think it was
the
how
picture.
do you combine hominess and desolation? Because
Uh,
they really do it.
It's a porch in early February. That's my guess. I
All
don't
right,
know.
all right.
I don't know, man. It just looks like a picture to me. It's well cropped, well shot. It's a great, just makes a great album artwork. All right, man. That does it for us this week. Join us next week. We will be breaking down new releases from Slow Dive, Soin, and much more. If you liked the show, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. And make sure that you follow along with the playlist that this podcast is based on. You can find the link to that in the show notes. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.